This one's a hard one to put into words. We've covered I am, we've covered I am God, we've covered I am you, we've covered God is everyone, or that we are all God and God just experiences life through us. We've covered all of those. How about we are slime? What if all we are, what if we are not even individuals or even we? What if we are just a single consciousness that sees itself as multiple consciousnesses, where the reality that we think we experience is really just a construct based on what we believe, so that believing really is seeing, as opposed to seeing is believing. It's not what you see you will believe, it is what you believe you will see, which would be supported actually by people like Nephilim Free, Truthful Christian, Ray Comfort, who all seem to genuinely believe what they're saying. I think they genuinely believe what they're saying, and they can genuinely see evidence for what they're saying, and they just are incapable of grasping the evidence presented for the opposing view, for evolution, for an ancient Earth, for an ancient universe, light speed, the distance between the stars, all of that. They are incapable of really getting that. It's just completely, it doesn't, have you ever, did you watch the Thunderfoot video where Thunderfoot and Ray Comfort were debating, and at one point Thunderfoot tries to explain, I believe he's explaining how evolution works, maybe he's explaining how we know how big the universe is, but I think he was explaining how evolution works in this one, or trying to, and you could see Ray Comfort's eyes sort of glaze, and he just sort of turned his head as if he couldn't even begin to consider that, and he couldn't hear it. He just blocked it out. He wasn't necessarily consciously trying to ignore Thunderfoot, but at the same time it was something that was just, I'm not even consider, this is just ridiculous. I'm not even going to consider this. I don't even want to hear it, to even try to consider it. It's just beyond me. It was a weird look on his face. If you didn't catch it, go back and watch, because it really was a really weird look on his face. It was almost like he was it's almost like he was refusing to acknowledge that Thunderfoot was even saying anything to him, almost like when a parent disowns their child and can't hear anything their child says them. It was very much like that, actually. It was like that look on his face that I do not acknowledge you. I do not acknowledge what you're saying right now. You don't exist to me. I think they really believe that what they're saying is true, and they cannot allow themselves to be infected by whatever it is that's got you seeing things that aren't real and perceiving things that aren't real. They just can't allow that. But yeah, what if we are in a collective consciousness? What if they are seeing what they really believe exists, and they can't see anything beyond that, just as we are seeing what we believe exists, and we can't see anything beyond that. Actually, I can see their side. That's the problem. So this really isn't a very good idea, but I just thought I'd throw it out there. Which is probably why this one kept falling apart, and why I've tried like 7 or 8 times to get this one to work right, and haven't been able to get it on video right. So I think I'm just gonna, this is gonna be it. I'm gonna go ahead and post this one as it is, and Ultimately, like I said, it all just comes back to this is the reality we have. We have to accept it. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. But we cannot just believe things that we have no evidence for. All of these ideas that I've been positing, there's no reason why we should believe them. I mean, they're fun to think about occasionally. They're fun to talk about in this kind of a forum. But beyond that, they have no validity in the reality that we are in. And this is a reality that we're in. Whether there is something beyond it, we can't know that. We have to accept this as reality. This is what we're given. This is what we can test for. This is what we can experience. This is what we can find evidence for. This is what we can see working. This is what feeds us. This is what gives us water, gives us sunlight. This is the world that we are in. This is the only thing that we have that we can depend on. And if you want us to depend on something that is beyond what we can perceive, you're going to have to provide proof of it. That's to my creationist friend, by the way, that last little bit. We need proof. We don't need the Bible says, because the Bible says is a book saying, and that's people saying, and people 2,000 years ago saying, and more saying. And these are people, some of which, well, the main one, Paul, was a swindler. He was a con artist. He was a crook. If you study the history, Paul got interested in the Jesus myth because of the disciples walking around, Peter and the others walking around doing these things that were amazing magic tricks that Paul just had to know how they did it. And he followed them around like a little lost puppy, trying to find out, trying to get them to tell him their secrets. And they shoot him away. They didn't want anything to do with him. And that's when it was supposedly after that the road to Damascus thing occurred, where Paul had his epiphany, claimed to have seen Jesus. But, I mean, all of the claims in the Bible, the 500 people that are said to have witnessed Jesus' resurrection, we only have Paul's word for that. There was a priest or a bishop or something that told Paul that he needed more. He needed some kind of evidence more than just that. And Paul did round up 2 other people and bring them there who swore that Paul was telling the truth, that they had witnessed Jesus. So there's 3 people total that one bishop, and I believe the bishop probably, you can rely on him, or what he said, but still, it's just, that's one person there. But regardless, Paul, a swindler, a con artist, found 2 people to say, to agree with what he said. And how hard would that be even today? And back then, when food was scarce in some areas, and the promise of a free trip and a big dinner at a table, and all you have to do is just say what I tell you to say, lie through your teeth. Anyway, that's all. Good night.